Chapter 1. The Invisible Enemy. Understanding the War Within. There's a war happening right now. No bloodshed, no battlefield, no soldiers in uniform. And yet, it's the most dangerous war you'll ever face. This war isn't outside of you, it's inside. Inside your thoughts, inside your emotions, inside your silence. It's the war between who you are and who you pretend to be. Between your potential and your excuses. Between your higher self and the voice that says, "You're not enough." We live in a world obsessed with external enemies. We blame people, systems, situations. But the harsh truth, the real enemy, lives rent-free in your own mind. Every day, you wake up with two choices: to rise above your inner sabotage or to surrender to it. This battle is silent, but deadly. It whispers doubts when you dream. It plants fear when you take risks. It drags you back when you're about to move forward. You can't escape it. You can't numb it. The only way out is through. To master the war within, you must first accept it exists. You must be brave enough to sit with your darkness, to ask, why am I really afraid? To admit, I've been my own worst enemy. This journey won't be loud. It won't be filled with applause. It will be silent victories, won in the lonely hours, moments when you choose growth over comfort, truth over ego, discipline over desire. That's the battle, and it's happening right now. But here's the good news. If you're aware of it, you've already taken the first step toward winning it. Chapter 2. Voices in the Silence. Your mind is not always your friend. Silence is supposed to be peaceful. But for some of us, it's a battlefield. Because in silence, the voices get louder. You know the ones I'm talking about. The voice that says, "You're not good enough." The one that reminds you of every mistake you've made. The one that turns a quiet moment into a storm of overthinking. We live with these voices every day, and most of the time, we think it's us. We think we are the doubt. We think we are the fear. We think we are the failure. But here's the truth. Not every voice in your head is your own. Some were planted there by childhood pain. Some were handed to you by a broken parent. Some are echoes from teachers, bullies, relationships that never truly saw you. And you've repeated them so many times, they sound like your own thoughts now. But they're not. Let me tell you something dangerous. Your mind can lie to you. It can convince you to stay small, to not try, to not speak up, to avoid love, avoid risk, avoid becoming more. Why? Because your mind's number one job is not your happiness. It's your survival. It will protect you from pain, even if it means trapping you in a prison of comfort. So when you start growing, changing, healing, that same mind will panic. It will scream, "This isn't safe. You'll be rejected. You're not ready." And if you're not careful, you'll listen. You'll think that fear is your intuition. You'll mistake anxiety for truth. You'll call self-sabotage your personality. This is where the inner war intensifies. Because you can't fight what you won't face. And you won't heal what you keep calling just who I am. So what do? You start by becoming the observer. You start by stepping back and asking, who is speaking right now? Is this the voice of my higher self or my wounded self? Is this truth or just trauma talking? Meditation helps. Journaling helps. Even sitting in stillness with the question, is this thought helping me or harming me? It won't happen overnight. Some of these voices have been in your head for decades, but every time you challenge them, every time you pause before believing them, you take back power. And over time, something magical happens. The volume goes down. The space between you and the thought widens. You start to see the mind as a tool, not a master. You stop reacting and start responding. And one day, in that same silence that once tortured you, you'll hear a new voice. One that says, "You're growing. You're enough. You're free." But it all begins when you realize your mind is not always your friend, but you can become the friend it's always needed. Chapter 3, Ego versus Soul. Who's really in control? There are two forces living inside you. One whispers, "Be still." The other screams, "Be seen." One seeks truth, the other seeks validation. One leads to peace, the other to constant performance. These two voices, these two forces are your soul and your ego. And every day, you wake up in the middle of their war. See, the ego isn't evil. It was built to protect you. It was born the first time you felt unseen, unloved, or unsafe. It's your armor. But if you're not careful, that armor becomes a cage. Because the ego doesn't want healing. It wants control. It tells you, you have to win. You have to prove them wrong. You have to be the best, the strongest, the smartest, the most admired. It feeds on comparison. It's addicted to attention. And no matter how much it gets, it's never enough. The soul is different. It doesn't compete. It creates. It doesn't shout. It guides. It doesn't seek the spotlight. It seeks alignment. While the ego wants to look good, the soul wants to feel whole. But here's the problem. In today's world, ego is rewarded. Louder gets more attention. Faster gets more praise. Fake gets more applause. So we hide our souls to fit in with the noise. We post for likes. We chase for titles. We dress for approval. And slowly, we lose ourselves. Until one day, we look in the mirror and don't recognize who we've become. Our smile looks real, but it's rehearsed. Our confidence looks bold, but it's brittle. Our success looks shiny, but it feels empty. That's when the soul begins to speak louder. It's subtle at first, just a whisper of discontent. A late-night thought. Is this really all there is? A morning sigh. Why do I feel so tired, even after sleeping? A quiet ache. I miss myself. You can ignore that voice for a while, but not forever. Because your soul will never stop calling you back to truth. And truth is, you were never meant to live for applause. You were never meant to perform for love. You were meant to live authentically, deeply, and freely. But to return to your soul, you must first confront the ego. You must be willing to say, I'm tired of proving. I'm tired of pretending. I choose peace over performance. You must be willing to lose the version of you the world claps for, to become the version only your soul will recognize. It's not easy, because the ego will fight for survival. It will tempt you with old patterns, old stories, old masks. But every time you choose authenticity over approval, silence over noise, stillness over striving, you weaken the ego and strengthen the soul. Chapter 4. Emotions are messengers, not masters. You've been told to control your emotions, to toughen up, to hide your tears, to smile through the pain, to stay strong no matter what. But strength is not about suppression, it's about understanding. Emotions aren't weaknesses to be buried. They are messages to be heard. Every emotion you feel carries information. Fear doesn't just paralyze. It points to a part of you that feels unprepared. Anger doesn't just explode. It reveals a boundary that's been crossed. Sadness isn't just sorrow. It's your soul grieving something lost, something valuable. But here's where most people get it wrong. They either drown in their emotions or deny them completely. They say, I'm just emotional, and let rage dictate their words. Or they say, I'm fine, while silently breaking inside. Neither path leads to peace, because emotions are meant to pass through you, not possess you. Think of emotions like messengers knocking at your door. Their job is to deliver insight, not to take over your home. But when you don't listen, they get louder. They come back in different forms, as anxiety, as sleepless nights, as random outbursts, until you're forced to confront what you once ignored. So what's the solution? First, acknowledge the emotion without judgment. Don't label sadness as bad or anger as wrong. Say to yourself, I'm feeling something strong right now. What is it trying to show me? Second, breathe through it. Your breath is your anchor in the emotional storm. When your chest tightens, when your pulse quickens, pause. Take a deep breath. Inhale clarity. Exhale confusion. You're not running from the feeling. You're making space for it. Third, name the feeling precisely. Not just I'm upset, but I feel betrayed. Not just I'm nervous, but I fear I'm not ready. Language gives form to emotion, and form gives you power to respond. Fourth, ask what the emotion needs. If it's anger, maybe it needs a boundary. If it's fear, maybe it needs preparation. If it's grief, maybe it just needs time. Finally, let the emotion move through you. Cry if you need to. Scream into a pillow. Write a letter you'll never send. Emotions are energy, and energy must move. When you suppress them, they get stuck. When you honor them, they pass and leave behind wisdom. Because that's the truth about emotions. They are not your enemies. They are your inner compass. They reveal your values. They highlight your wounds. They open the door to healing if you're brave enough to feel them fully. But remember this, emotions are messengers, not masters. Let them speak, but don't let them steer. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are not your sadness. You are the one who listens to them all and then chooses who leads. And when you live from that awareness, you don't just master your emotions, you master your life. Chapter 5, The Lie of Comfort, How Ease Kills Greatness. Comfort is seductive. It wraps itself around you like a warm blanket on a cold morning. It whispers things like, stay here a little longer. You've earned it. Why risk the unknown when you're already safe? But here's the truth most people never realize. Comfort is not your friend. It's the silent killer of dreams, the assassin of potential, the warm prison where ambition goes to die. Greatness was never born in comfort. Legends are not shaped in safe spaces. Strength isn't forged on the couch. It's built in the fire, through sweat, through tears, through battle. But we've been lied to, taught that happiness comes from ease, that success is about finding the work-life balance, that peace means avoiding pressure. What a trap. What a beautifully packaged poison. Because while you're chasing balance, your purpose is withering. While you're numbing with distractions, your potential is crying out to be used. And while you're avoiding discomfort, you're also avoiding the very path that leads to your transformation. Let me ask you something raw and honest. When was the last time you truly challenged yourself? Not just tried something new for a week, but committed, suffered, grew. Most people don't grow because they're too addicted to feeling good. They'll chase dopamine all day. Likes, sugar, shows, scrolling. But ask them to sit in silence with their fears, to wake up at 5 a.m. with no applause, to sacrifice today for a better version of themselves tomorrow. They flinch because pain feels like failure, but it's not. Pain is proof you're doing something uncomfortable, and discomfort is the birthplace of growth. Comfort zones are tiny. They may feel safe, but they shrink you. They don't demand more from you, so you stop demanding more from yourself. And over time, you forget what you're capable of. You begin to settle. Settle in relationships, settle in your health, settle in your identity. Until one day you look around and realize you're surviving, but you're not alive. So how do you escape this trap? You start small. You make a new rule. Discomfort is my training ground. You run when your mind says walk. You speak when fear says be silent. You show up when the old you would have stayed home. You stop worshiping comfort and start honoring your calling. And yes, it will hurt. Yes, you'll feel resistance. But every time you push past it, something changes. Your identity shifts. Your capacity expands. Your confidence is no longer fake. It's earned. Because now you know, you didn't just survive discomfort, you used it. You turned it into fuel. You turned it into freedom. Comfort will never give you that. Only courage will. So the next time you're tempted to choose easy, ask yourself, does this choice serve the person I am or the person I'm becoming? Because ease might give you peace for a moment, but purpose will give you meaning for a lifetime. And that's the kind of peace worth suffering for. Chapter 6, You versus You, the most brutal battlefield. The most dangerous enemy you'll ever face is the one that looks back at you in the mirror. Not your boss, not your critics, not the people who doubted you, but you. Because the war within you is the most brutal battlefield. No one sees it, but it's there. Every single day. It's the part of you that wants to grow, fighting the part of you that wants to stay safe. It's the voice that says, you can be more, clashing with the voice that whispers, you'll never change. You versus you. The old you versus the becoming you. The comfortable you versus the courageous you. The one who makes excuses versus the one who takes action. You are your own greatest rival. Because only you know all the ways you've quit, all the lies you've told yourself, all the things you could have done, but didn't. No one else knows your laziness like you do. No one else sees the times you lied to your goals, the moments you said, tomorrow, the days you chose Netflix over discipline, the nights you broke promises you made to yourself. That's the pain people don't talk about, the pain of self-betrayal, the pain of knowing you let yourself down again. And the scariest part? You can lie to the world and still be loved, but lie to yourself. And you lose respect for the only person who truly matters, you. But here's the hope inside the hurt. If you are the enemy, you are also the answer. Because the version of you that wakes up early, that says no to temptation, that runs when the body says rest, that speaks truth even when it shakes, that version already lives in you. You've just buried it under years of noise, doubt, and fear. But it's not gone. It's waiting. Waiting for you to stop blaming, to stop delaying, to stop making your reflection your excuse. This is the truth. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you discipline. No one is going to give you the life you dream of. You will have to fight yourself for it. Every day you wake up, there's a battle. The battle between comfort and commitment, between quitting and continuing, between who you are and who you're meant to be. And every choice you make either strengthens the old you or builds the new one. So when that voice whispers, you can't, you whisper back louder, watch me. When the doubt creeps in, you remember that fear doesn't mean stop. It means go anyway. And when you fall, and you will, you get back up. Because the only fight you ever truly lose is the one where you stop swinging. This is the battlefield. You versus you. And it's not won in one day. It's won in the darkness, in the daily decisions, in the quiet hours when no one's watching but you. So ask yourself, which version of me is going to win today? Because the world doesn't need a perfect you. It needs the real you, the committed you, the relentless you. And that version is only one hard choice away. Chapter 7, Self-Discipline, the weapon of inner warriors. If motivation is the spark, then self-discipline is the fire that never goes out. Motivation comes and goes. It's emotional. It's fleeting. It shows up when things are exciting, when the path is new, when the rewards are near. But what about when it's boring, when it's hard, when nobody claps, nobody sees, and nothing changes for weeks? That's where self-discipline steps in. That's where warriors are made. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It's getting up when your body screams, stay in bed. It's choosing growth when your mind begs for comfort. It's showing up again and again and again, not because it's fun, but because your future is worth it. Most people lose the inner war because they rely too much on feelings. They say, I'll go when I'm in the mood. I'll start when I feel ready. I'll change when it gets easier. But life doesn't wait for your emotions to align, and greatness doesn't bloom in convenience. Discipline is not a punishment. It's not suffering. It's not about perfection. It's about commitment. It's about choosing the higher path, even when the lower one is easier. The truth? The version of you that you admire, the strong one, the focused one, the successful one, that version doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from repetition. It's not what you do once that shapes your identity. It's what you do daily, in private, in silence, in struggle. Self-discipline is spiritual warfare. It is your soul saying to your weakness, not today, not this time, not anymore. And it's a weapon that cuts through procrastination, laziness, addiction, distraction. A weapon that silences the noise, the doubt, the fear. But here's what no one tells you. Discipline doesn't feel good at first. It feels uncomfortable. It feels unnatural. Because it's not about doing what you want. It's about doing what you need. It's resisting the scroll. It's finishing the rep. It's putting the phone down, picking the book up. It's keeping the promise you made to your future self. Because every act of discipline is a vote for who you want to become, and every excuse is a surrender to who you used to be. So the question is simple. Who are you serving, your weakness or your wisdom? Every morning, you have a choice, to serve your distractions or to serve your destiny. You don't need more motivation. You don't need the perfect plan. You need to decide that from this day forward, you will no longer wait to feel ready. You will act and let readiness catch up, because action is the cure. Discipline is the path. And freedom, true freedom, lives on the other side of structure. This is your sword. This is your edge. This is the discipline of an inner warrior. So sharpen it, use it, and win the war within. Chapter 8, Stillness in Chaos, the Strength of Silence. In a world that never stops talking, stillness feels like rebellion. Every second, something is shouting for your attention. Notifications, news, noise, opinions, arguments, headlines, hashtags. And in the middle of that chaos, you forget what your own voice sounds like. But silence. Silence is powerful. Silence is where the real war is fought. Because only in silence can you hear what's really going on inside. Most people are terrified of stillness because when things get quiet, the truth starts to speak. And sometimes that truth is uncomfortable. Sometimes it says, you're not living in alignment. You're distracting yourself from what you know you need to face. You're not okay, and you've been pretending for too long. So we run from silence. We fill the gaps with noise, with screens, with scrolling, with endless stimulation. We keep moving, not because we're driven, but because we're scared. But listen carefully. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is strength that doesn't have to prove itself. It takes incredible power to sit in the storm and not be shaken, to hear the chaos around you and still remain centered, to pause before reacting, to breathe before speaking, to feel the fire inside and not let it burn the world around you. Stillness is what separates those who are reactive from those who are resolute. Because the real battle isn't outside you. It's how you respond to what's outside you. You can't control the world. You can't control people. You can't control circumstances. But you can master your response. And stillness gives you that power. Stillness is not inactivity. It's intentional awareness. It's the space between trigger and response. It's the ability to say, not every energy deserves my attention. Not every insult deserves my reaction. Not every battle is mine to fight. In silence, you reclaim your energy. In stillness, you remember who you are. You start to notice how often you give your peace away to arguments that don't matter, to people who don't matter, to opinions that shouldn't even be on your radar. And slowly, you begin to protect your peace like it's sacred. Because it is. The world will try to pull you into noise, debates, drama, distraction, but the strongest warriors don't fight every battle. They choose silence, not out of fear, but out of clarity. And when you master stillness, you begin to respond, not react. You begin to act from wisdom, not emotion. You begin to move from intention, not impulse. So be still. Let the world scream if it wants to. Let the chaos do what chaos does. But you hold the line. You sit with your breath. You listen. You reflect. You wait. And in that stillness, you find something the world is too busy to notice. Power. Because the loudest person in the room isn't the strongest. The calmest one is. Chapter 9. Healing old wounds, turning pain into power. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you can't see. Smiling on the outside, bleeding on the inside. And the deepest wounds aren't on the skin. They're in the heart, in the memories, in the moments that never got closure. We all carry pain, but most of us carry it silently. We suppress it. We avoid it. We distract ourselves from it. Until one day, that unhealed pain starts speaking. Through our habits, through our fears, through the way we love, the way we trust, the way we show up, or don't. You think it's procrastination, but it's really fear of failure born from a childhood where mistakes were punished. You think you're just bad at relationships, but deep down, it's the wound of abandonment screaming. Don't get too close. Your wounds don't just live in your past. They shape your present, and they will shape your future, unless you choose to heal them. But healing isn't soft. Healing isn't some perfect, peaceful journey filled with candles and mantras. No, healing is warfare. It's going back to the places that hurt. It's sitting with the memory you tried to forget. It's letting the tears fall without shame. It's screaming out the words you were never allowed to say. And it's choosing, over and over again, to stop hiding your pain behind performance. You cannot heal what you won't face. And you can't face it until you admit, I'm still hurting. That moment changed me. That pain didn't just visit, it stayed. But here's the truth. Your pain is not your enemy. It's a mirror. It shows you where you still need love. It shows you where power was taken, so you can take it back. Pain only becomes poison when you refuse to process it. Unhealed wounds fester. They leak into your words, your relationships, your self-worth. But once you face them, truly face them, they start to lose their power. Because now, you're not avoiding the darkness. You're walking through it with your head held high. And the beautiful part? What once broke you now builds you. The pain that silenced you becomes your message. The betrayal that hardened you teaches you boundaries. The rejection that crushed you helps you value your own worth. That's not just feeling, that's alchemy. That's turning scars into symbols of survival. That's turning wounds into wisdom. So stop pretending it didn't happen. Stop telling yourself it's in the past, because it's not in the past if it's still controlling your present. Sit with it, feel it, mourn it, scream if you have to. Then rise, slowly, gently, but powerfully. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to get over it. You just need to keep showing up and healing. One memory at a time, one belief at a time, one breath at a time. Because when you finally face your wounds, you unlock the strongest version of you. The one who was hurt, but refused to stay broken. The one who bled, but still chose to love again. The one who turned their pain into power. Chapter 10. Embracing stillness, finding power in silence. We live in a world that rewards noise. The loudest voice often gets the most attention. The most active person is seen as the most productive, and the busiest life is glorified as the most meaningful. But what if I told you, true strength is found in stillness? Real wisdom is born in silence. And the greatest power comes not from reacting to the world, but from responding to it with presence. This is the unseen battle. The battle to remain calm when the world pulls you into chaos. The battle to stay centered when life demands you to be scattered. The battle to listen to yourself, to your intuition, to your soul, when everything around you is screaming for your attention. Stillness is not laziness. Silence is not weakness. It is clarity. It is control. It is a sacred pause. That moment between stimulus and response where you reclaim your power. Most people don't realize this. Your reactions often reveal your chains. Your silence often reveals your freedom. Anyone can yell back. Anyone can argue. Anyone can lash out. But it takes real discipline to say nothing, to let the storm pass, to not let the chaos outside create a storm inside. Stillness is where the war within starts to quiet down. It's the space where you stop being a slave to your thoughts and start becoming their master. In that silence, you begin to see what truly matters. You begin to understand your triggers, your wounds, your patterns. Think of the most powerful warriors in history. They weren't the loudest. They weren't the ones swinging their swords wildly. They were the ones who could wait, the ones who could read the room, the ones who knew that timing, patience, stillness could win wars before they ever began. In your life, you are at war every day. A war against impulsive reactions, a war against emotional outbursts, a war against the noise in your mind and the pressure of the world. But what if you just paused? What if, instead of firing back, you just breathed? What if, instead of proving your point, you just observed? What if you chose to not respond, not out of fear, but out of mastery? Stillness teaches you that not everything deserves your energy. Not every battle needs to be fought, and not every word deserves a reply. In silence, you choose your battles wisely. You preserve your peace. You protect your growth. This is what mastering the war within looks like. Not a life free of conflict, but a life where you're no longer controlled by it. So, embrace stillness. Let it become your power. Let it guide your actions. Let it sharpen your awareness. Because in a world that never stops moving, stillness is your ultimate rebellion and your most sacred strength. Chapter 11, Transcending the Ego, Finding Peace Beyond Pride. We often think our biggest enemy is the world outside, people, circumstances, misfortunes. But the real enemy, the most cunning one, the one hiding in plain sight, is our ego. That voice inside that says, you're better than them. That itch that demands, you must prove your worth. That sting you feel when someone questions you. That urge to be right, even when silence is wiser. That thirst for recognition, even if it robs you of your peace. Ego is not confidence. Confidence whispers, I am enough. Ego screams, I must be more than you. And this ego, it traps us. It builds a wall around our heart. It convinces us that vulnerability is weakness, that forgiveness is surrender, that humility is defeat. But look closely. Behind every broken friendship, behind every argument that went too far, behind every sleepless night spent rehearsing what you should have said, the ego sits proudly, guarding its illusion of power. The truth is, ego cannot survive in the presence of true self-awareness. Because once you realize you are not your titles, you are not your achievements, you are not your image in someone else's mind, you begin to detach. you begin to breathe again. You begin to let go of things not worth your peace. Transcending the ego doesn't mean you become passive. It means you choose your battles wisely. It means you value truth over victory. It means you no longer need to prove yourself because you know yourself. The war within is often a war between the ego and the soul. And peace, true peace, comes the moment you stop defending your ego and start listening to your soul. That's when you win the unseen battle. Chapter 12. Building inner fortitude, becoming mentally unshakable. We often admire the unshaken, the person who stays calm in crisis, who holds the line when everything is falling apart. That person didn't just become strong by accident. They went through the fire within. They mastered the unseen war, and in doing so, became a fortress from the inside out. Mental fortitude is not about pretending you're okay. It's about standing tall, even when the world tries to bend you. It's the calm breath before a storm. The silent decision to rise again when life breaks you down. It's your inner voice saying, "I will not be moved," even when your outer world is chaos. But this strength is built, not born. It's shaped in the quiet hours, in the moments no one sees, when you choose discipline over ease, growth over comfort, and truth over denial. Mental resilience is forged when you stop looking for an easy life and start asking for strength to handle a difficult one. You build it when you hold your ground in discomfort, when you allow pain to teach instead of crush you, when you stop running from your emotions and start facing them like a warrior. Because true strength isn't the absence of struggle. It's refusing to let struggle define you. Do you want to be unshakable? Then stop reacting to everything. Train your mind the way warriors train their body. Not once, not occasionally, daily. Feed it with truth. Guard it against negativity. Challenge it with obstacles. Quiet it with stillness. Because the battle outside will always exist, but victory begins within. And when you become mentally unshakable, life no longer controls you. You lead. You decide. You conquer. Chapter 13. The Art of Starting Again. Rise after every fall. How many times have you told yourself, "I've failed too much to try again"? How often have you looked at your scars and decided they disqualify you from another beginning? Let me tell you something most people won't. There is no shame in falling, but there is tragedy in refusing to rise. You see, the war within is never about winning every round. It's about refusing to stay down when life knocks you over. Think about the seed buried under layers of earth, in darkness, in pressure, in complete silence. It cracks, it breaks open, and only then does life begin. That's how it works for us too. Our breaking points are often the birthplaces of our becoming. You've fallen? Good. That means you tried. That means you moved. That means you were alive. Now, because every fall leaves behind lessons the climb never could. And no, it's not about forgetting the fall. It's about remembering who you had to become to get back up. Let this moment be your declaration. I will rise. I will begin again, and again, and again. Because the war within me will not be won by perfection. It will be won by persistence. Final chapter. Peace is the ultimate victory. After all the wars within, the voices, the chaos, the doubts, the fire, what remains? You'd think it's power, or success, or strength. But no, the real prize, the final victory, is peace. Not the peace they sell in books or preach in speeches. Not silence on the outside, but silence within. When your past no longer haunts you, when your fears still whisper, but they no longer command you. When you stop running, not because you're tired, but because you've arrived. That is peace. Peace is when you stop fighting yourself. It's when your reflection no longer feels like a stranger. When your flaws become reminders of your humanity, not shame. When you realize that strength isn't in control, but in surrender. Not surrender to the world, but surrender to truth. The truth that you are not broken, that your wounds were never weaknesses, that you were never meant to be perfect, only whole. The unseen battle was never about proving your worth. It was about remembering it. And now, as the war quiets and the dust settles, you sit in the ruins of old identities, and in that stillness, you find peace. Not the end, but a beginning of a life no longer dictated by the noise within, but guided by the calm that you fought so hard to earn. Congratulations! You didn't just survive the war, you won! And peace was the prize all along.